One of the king exercises in order to assess strength in the gym is, without a doubt, the bench press. We all got asked at least once in the gym,
how much do you bench?
So today we will become this gym bro, but the goal is to see actually how strong the fitness YouTubers are in the bench press. My name is Pana, I'm a 2-time powerlifting world champion, and today I will be analyzing and ranking the bench press of the fitness YouTubers. They will be scored on 2 criteria. First criteria for technique, how good their technique is, and the second criteria will be for strength, how strong they really are on this movement. 0 will be given for the absolute worst, and 5 will be given for the absolute best. After that, we'll add the 2 scores, and that will give a rank to every athlete. So without further ado, let's analyze some bench press and see together who's the best fitness YouTuber on the bench press. First candidate, Will Tennyson. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Is it Will Tennyson? I think it's probably Will Tennyson. Here he's doing his bench press in a competition setup. Like I already said it a couple of times, doing it in comp is actually harder than doing it in training. So every time the athlete does something in comp, I will give a small bonus in terms of points. So here we have a 160 kilogram. So first thing, in the video, Will said he didn't prepare for powerlifting for this comp, and so I'll obviously take that into account, but at the same time, I'm not seeing enough work on the setup. There's something you need to understand. The bench press is a movement where the setup is almost as important as the full rep that you're doing later. Because if you create a very strong and good position, you'll have this position to do your bench press in. If not, then the overall movement will be less efficient, whether it's in terms of focusing on the right muscles, but also in terms of strength. Here, what I would say is I think Will doesn't do enough work on opening up the chest before unracking the bar. Opening up the chest is key in a bench press for 2 reasons. First, you get much more chest engagement, more muscle involved into the movement, and also you're positioning your shoulders in a much safer and more stable position, because by opening up your chest, you're pinning your shoulders into the bench press, and that's the exact position we want in order to bench a lot of weight. So here, I would say his technique overall looks pretty good, but not enough work on the setup. Oh my. The pause was so long, that's crazy. So for those of you that don't know, when you're doing a powerlifting competition, you have a central ref that gives you start. So you lower the bar, you have to stop the bar, so dead stop at the bottom. Then once it's done, the ref will give you press, so you push up and then rack. So here, there's actually a reason as to why the pause was so long. And the reason is that the bar wasn't still at the bottom of the bench. So when he lowered the bar, when it touches his chest, he didn't stop the bar. We can see the bar wobble, we can see the bar move, and that's the reason as to why he got that long pause. Here, there's one thing you have to do if you're willing to train and you want to do a powerlifting meet at some point. You have to be able to just solidly pose the bar at the bottom. It really has to be completely still. One cue that I like for that is, imagine you have some strings at your chest and you're almost like pulling on those strings, and once you're there, you just stop the bar. So the quicker you stop the bar and the more still it is, the quicker the pause will be then by the ref. But that was a crazy pause. But then he was able to push, and honestly, there are a couple of things he's doing very well. I think he's properly pushing into his legs. He has a good bar path, so slightly up but also back, so using the legs in order to push. And then during the whole rep, his joint stacking, so shoulder, elbow, and wrist is perfect. He keeps all of those points in line, and that's exactly what you should be doing for a heavy bench. So yeah, honestly, pretty good bench by Will here. And like he said, he didn't train specifically for that, so makes sense. In terms of technique, I think I will give 3 points on 5, because there are a couple of things that are missing. Like I said, chest opening, really being able to just pause the bar still at the bottom. Yeah, so a couple of things that are missing in order to give more than 3. And then in terms of strength, so that's 160 kilos, which is 352 pounds, at a body weight of 90 kilos, which is 198. And I think in terms of strength, that's pretty good. I would say definitely above average. I think I would give probably 3 on 5 also, but because it's in a comp and he had a crazy long pause, I think I'll probably give 3.5. So if we add the 2 scores, we are at 6.5 points for Will Tennyson, and that puts him in the B tier of this tier list. Next up, we have Magnus Midtbo. Sorry if I butcher the name. Pretty cool here because Magnus, I think he's, I don't know the English word, escalade. Climber. Thank you. Yeah, there's no sense as to why a climber would do bench press, so it's just benching like very casually. And I think he was also in my weight class, so 66 kilos when he was climbing. I didn't know there were like weight classes when you climb, but maybe there are, maybe not. Not really fully aware of that. So here he's benching 112.5 kilos, and I think he took a bit of weight and he's around 75 kilos in this video. So let's see the bench. First and foremost, whenever you see someone do a bench PR because that's his PR, he gets up and just smile, you know. That's some Ronnie Coleman vibes that I get from that. It's just, you know, lifting in the gym, being happy to just kill yourself under a bar. That's so cool. That's really, really cool. So we actually have a couple of things to break down here. I think in terms of overall technique, it's okay. I would say it's an okay movement, but if you want to optimize strength, you don't want an okay movement, you want a movement that's, like I said, very optimized. Here we can see that he's not taking the time to settle. When you're doing a new movement or when you're tweaking your technique on the bench press, for example, what I like to do, or what I like to tell the athletes that I work with to do, is create a list, whether it's in your head or on your phone, whatever. You create a list where every point is one line on the list. So for example, anchor the shoulder, then push with the legs, then keep the tension in your legs throughout the movement, and so on and so forth. And here, as you can see, the execution is pretty chaotic in general, and we can see he's just focusing on lifting the weight and are creating this sequence of events that will actually allow him to press as efficiently as possible. Here we can see when he unracks the bar, his shoulders tend to roll forward, and unfortunately that's a mistake because you want to, on the contrary, anchor your shoulders into the bench press. Imagine this, you don't want to press by moving your shoulders forward, you want to press by pushing your shoulders into the bench. And here we can see when he's unracking the bar, he's rolling his shoulders, and that's the first of the mistakes. And then when he's pushing, his legs are going all over the place, and that means that he doesn't have a proper well drive that's pushing into the bench once more. And just to give you a quick example, I've already did a video on this topic, but my bench press, when I'm using my legs and when I'm not using my legs, so when I'm doing what we call a variation with the Larsen press, I have between 15 and 20 kilos of difference. So not using properly your legs in order to stabilize your position, but also to create strength, will lead to you being less strong on the bench than you would be. Those are the main two problems that I see with this bench press. But besides that, again, honestly, coming from a climber that doesn't do a lot of bench press, it's pretty solid work. Now, in terms of strength, so 112.5 kilos at 75 kilos body weight, I would say it's probably beginner level to intermediate level. So I think I would probably give 2 out of 5 in terms of strength. Again, it makes sense when you're a beginner in any field, you're not really strong, and then because you train, because you learn the movement, the proper technique, then you get stronger. So I would say, yeah, 2, to be quite honest, quite transparent. Yeah, maybe even a bit under that, maybe 1.5 in terms of strength. And then in terms of technique, I think I would probably give, 2.5. Some things are pretty well covered, but there are things that are missing way too much. So like I said, anchoring the shoulders into the bench, having proper stable leg drive throughout the movement. So yeah, so I think I cannot give above 2.5 for this technique. So 1.5 and 2.5, we're at 4 out of 10. And that will give the C rank to Magnus Midtbo. Like I said, again, it makes sense. Like if I were to do climbing, I would probably be C rank or even D or even E. I'll be like my man Song Jinu. I would be E rank, the weakest hunter. But then when you train, you get stronger. So props to Magnus Midtbo for that. And now we're on to our next candidate. Candidate number 3 is Eric Bugenhagen, aka Rick the Stick. So here, like always, we have the crazy setup, we have the hype, we have the vibe. Like I said, I love those PR videos. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. Very, very good bench press. I have one major red flag, which is the grip. In Canada or Quebec, it's called the death grip. And the reason as to why it's called the death grip is because, unfortunately, if the bar rolls, even if it rolls like half an inch, it will just fall on your chest. And here he has 435 pounds, which is close to 200 kilos. If from here he drops the bar on his chest. Unfortunately, that will go very, very, very bad. You can break your ribs, injure your internal organs. So honestly, guys, there is absolutely no reason for you to use the death grip on the bench press. Whether it's somebody as cool as Rick the Stick doing it, I don't think it's necessary. You think it creates a lot of difference, but it doesn't, because the main problem for people that don't feel how to properly like push with the arms into the bench is something I already did a YouTube video on, and it's because you tend to have the bar too high in your hands. And here I cannot push properly. But if you have the bar lower in your hand, here you can still close the bar with your thumb, so you secure your grip, and at the same time you have the same effect, you have the same good feeling as, oh, I can push the bar very nice without having to use the death grip. So honestly, guys, don't use this grip. I think it's a big mistake, and unfortunately it's all going to go well up until the point where it doesn't. The bar just rolls and then you're done. So besides that, in terms of technique, very, very good technique by Eric here. So as you can see, he's using a very wide grip, and I think that's probably the grip most of people should use if they want to maximize their bench press. One of the strengths of this grip is you have a lot of emphasis on the chest. If you have big chest, that's exactly the grip you want to go with, and also you're reducing the range of motion of the movement. So very good grip. And there's also one thing he's doing very, very well. So he's grinding the rep, and the reason he can grind the rep, it's because he's keeping his elbows open. So like I said, you don't want to close your elbows when you're bench pressing, because here you have a lot of tension on your shoulders and the position is less efficient. On the contrary, by keeping the elbows open, you can see I have a better joint stacking. So once again, stacking your shoulder, your elbow and your wrist into the movement, and you can produce a lot of force with that position. So honestly, excellent technique by Eric here. I think I would probably give 4 on technique, just because he's not closing and there's no pause at the bottom. Pausing at the bottom makes the movement 10 times harder. And also, like I said, I think using the death grip, very, very, very dangerous on the bench press. So that's why I'm giving 4. Besides that, on the other aspects, excellent technique. And now in terms of strength, so we have 435, so 200 kilos for a body weight of, I don't know, sometimes I've seen 220 online, I've seen 240 online. We'll say between 220 and 240, which is around 105, 110 kilos. So I think that's a pretty good bench. I'd say it's elite in terms of strength, and he probably had a bit more in the tank, maybe 5 pounds more, 7.5, something like that. So yeah, I think I'll probably give 4 also in terms of strength. So 4 for technique, 4 for strength. We're at 8, and Eric is our first A tier. Yeah, I think it's high A tier, but still A tier. We're not on the S tier yet. So Eric is our first A tier bench presser on the fitness YouTubers. The video was epic. Our fourth candidate is a she, and it's lean beef patty for the pleasure of my camera guy. But we said no simping in this episode, so guys, don't worry, there won't be any simping in this episode. So once again, powerlifting competition for lean beef patty, so more points will be given. See, that's the problem. Her technique is excellent. And so if I say, oh, crazy technique, and I give a good ranking, everybody will call my camera guy out. Not myself, right? Not myself. Anyway, honestly, very, very good technique. Like I said with Eric, so she also uses a wide grip. She also has very good joint stacking, so keeping the elbows nice open. She has also a very good bar path, so pushing up and also back at the same time. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say in terms of technique. I think I'll probably give 4.5 in terms of technique. The 0.5 missing is at the bottom. We can see the bar wobbles a bit, so not enough great tension at the bottom. Like I said, you really want to have good tension at the bottom, and I think 0.5 missing on that aspect, but other than that, very good anchoring of the shoulders into the bench, good bar path, good positioning overall on the movement. So yeah, very, very good technique on lean beef patty. Now in terms of strength, so that's 80 kilos at a body weight of 59 kilos. I think it's above average for sure, but not crazy strong. So I think I would probably give 3 out of 5, but because it's in a comp, I'll give 0.5 bonus point, so 3.5. So if we add the both, we're at 8 also for lean beef patty. 8 is the same ranking as Eric Bugenhagen. So is lean beef patty above Eric on the tier list? Let me ask my camera guy. He nodded like yes. So unfortunately, I cannot put lean beef patty above Rick the Stick on that one. He's crying, but lean beef patty A tier, but below Eric Bugenhagen. On to our next candidate. So our next candidate is Jeff Nippard. So let's see that. Very good rep. He's doing 168, so 370 pounds. And I think he's around the 80 something kilo mark, so maybe a bit above. But honestly, in that range, that's very, very good. Also, Jeff is a natural lifter. It does change. So like he said in the video, he said his butt is not very well on the bench. And the reason for that, he's positioning his feet too much backwards. So keep in mind something, when we're doing the leg drive on the bench press, we actually don't want to push up. We actually want to push back into the bench. And the more your foot will be backwards, so towards your hips, the more upwards you will tend to create that force with your legs. So by putting your feet more in front of you, you're actually creating that better direction for that strength production coming from the legs. So Jeff is pretty flexible. He has his feet back a lot, but having your feet back too much, you can feel a lot of tension in your legs, but keep in mind something, you don't want to just feel tension in your legs. You want to be able to transfer that tension over to your bench press. By having the foot more forward, maybe you're not feeling as much tension in your quads, but you can push into the floor much more, and that's overall better in terms of bench press strength. Another very interesting fact here, Jeff is using what we call the sink bench press. So you have two styles of pause on the bench press. You can stretch your pecs and just like almost touch as less as you can the bar with your chest, so creating that tension, and imagining you have like glass between your chest and the bar, and just really like slowly and steadily pausing the bar on your chest. Or you can use what we call the sink, where you're sinking the bar into your chest. In powerlifting competitions, usually we see the sink on the heavier lifters because they have more meat, they have more muscles, they are usually a bit more bulky on the upper body, and so they can sink the bar into their chest and then push back up. The strength of the sink is that on the first inches of the bench, you get a huge boost because you have some of that stretch reflex of your muscles and also your ribs and stuff like that. So if you're a big bulky guy, the sink can be very interesting. Usually in the lower weight classes, so for example my weight class or the 74s or whatever, it's less common to see sink. Honestly, I think Jeff's sink is okay. The problem is that when you're doing a powerlifting competition, the pause starts at the moment the bar is still on your chest. And here, as you can see, Jeff is starting to push when the bar isn't motionless on his chest. So if he was to do that in a powerlifting competition, it wouldn't count. He would have to pause the bar much more at the bottom. And that's why I think maybe he would be stronger without the sink. Yeah, so if you're sinking the bar, make sure you're able to properly sink, like I said, being motionless at the bottom and really having a good boost on those first few inches of your bench press. If you want a video on the sink on the bench press, that's definitely something I can do, so make sure to leave a comment on that and I'll add that to the list of videos coming up very soon on YouTube. So after that, he's trying out with 95 pounds, so 175 kilos, and let's see how this moves. Couple of things, maybe it was just slightly too heavy for the day, but we can see that his bar path is not as good as it could be. And I think one of the main reasons as to why, it's because of his leg position. Again, when you have your legs very far, maybe you feel a lot of tension in your quads, but you're not really able to properly push into the floor and create that almost spring in order to have that strength on your upper body. So here, I would say maybe, again, having the foot a bit more forward, having more strength off the floor with his legs, and maybe that will go the next time. Besides that, Jeff, I think, has a very good technique. Couple of things to dial in. So I think because of that, I would probably give 4 out of 5. So bettering the sink and also reviewing a bit his foot positioning in order to improve the leg drive. But yeah, 4 is a solid score for his technique. And then in terms of strength, I would say it's a pretty good strength also, around the 75-80 kilo mark as a natural lifter. I think that's very, very good. So I probably would give, yeah, probably around 4 also. Yeah, I'm hesitating between 7.5 and 4. I think I'll give 4. I think I'll give 4. He was very close to do 170 at these body weights for a natural lifter. That's very, very good. So yeah, I think I'll give 4. So if we add the 2 scores, Jeff is at 8 also. And in terms of ranking, I think I would go Eric Bugenhagen, lean beef patty, and Jeff, or Jeff above lean beef patty. Yeah, I think I would go Jeff above lean beef patty. Chill out, man. Chill out, man. Why you have a knife? Put the knife down. yeah, I think I'll go Eric, Jeff, and lean beef patty. But yeah, 3 athletes on the A tier already. That's looking very, very good. Now on to our next and last candidate of this video, and we're talking about the Tren Twins. So here we have the Tren Twins on a powerlifting competition. So once again, more points because it's in a comp. You have to pause the bar at the bottom and so on and so forth. You have much more external, so counts a bit more. So I think they're both around 90 kilos body weight and they're bench pressing like serious weights. So let's see how this goes. Oh. Chris is first, and we can see something that's very interesting. In my previous video, I talked about like the wide grip bench and how it's better for most people, but I said it will probably be better for 90% of people, and you have those 10%. And I think the Tren Twins are in the 10% where the wide grip isn't necessarily better. And the reason for that is they have like short arms. If you have short arms and they also have big arms, by having a close grip, you're putting more focus on the arm work on the bench press, especially the triceps, and because they have short and big arms, they can really use that to their advantage. So here, that's actually one of the first close grip we've seen throughout the video, and that's probably the percentage I was talking to you about, where we had 5 other people using a wide grip and 1 or 2 we'll see with Chris later on using a close grip. So if you have short, big arms, maybe you can try the close grip, but if that's not the case, like for example, I don't have big arms and my arms are pretty long too, then the wide grip is better for me. But yeah, 215 on a close grip bench, that's very impressive. So in terms of technique, I think their technique isn't very optimized, so we can see they don't have a lot of like chest opening and stuff like that. But like I said, because they're using a close grip, it's not that important. The shoulders are properly pinned into the bench. So in terms of technique, I think I would probably give Chris here solid 4. Yeah, 4 I think, because it's not very optimized, but the other aspects are well covered. So good leg drive, we can see the bar going backwards, so good bar path, and also good joint stacking throughout the movement. So 4 is a solid score for his technique. And now in terms of strength, 215 at 90 kilos body weight, even if they use performance enhancing drugs, that's still very good in terms of strength. So I think I would probably give 4 also, but because it's in a competition setup, I'm adding the bonus point. So we're at 4.5, 4 and 4.5, we're at 8.5 for Chris. And with 8.5, he's the first on the A-tier list. Now we're on to Mikey, and we can see Mikey has a very similar build to Chris. Obviously they're twins, but I think his hand positioning is even a bit closer than Chris. Same reason, short arms, big triceps, so really focusing on the strong points of his body for this movement with the close grip bench. So 227. Oh, he failed it. Oh, okay. Two fails. That's crazy. Okay, so here we can see, I don't know if it's his coach or something like that, but he's showing him something, and when he's showing him that, he's pushing his arm like internally. And like I said, that's actually not what you want to be doing. You want to push back, but you don't want to tuck in your elbows, because in this position, you can see I'm pinned forward and my shoulders roll forward. And on the bench, on the contrary, you really want this open position, even if you're using a close grip. You can see on the video that's going right here, for example, we have John Ack, who's using a close grip. His elbows stay open. He doesn't go inwards with his elbows. So I'm not too sure about the advice here. Yeah, and like you can see, that's exactly what I said. He's able to successfully do the lift, and the moment he pushes up, he's not going like that. He's on the contrary going like that, because in terms of joint stacking, it's a much stronger position. Imagine you want to push a door. You wouldn't push a door with your elbow inwards going like that. You would push a door like that. And that's exactly what he's doing here. And he's able to successfully do 227 on the bench press. So honestly, very good bench. And also it was like with 2 fails prior to that. So took a lot of efforts and balls in order to do that. So a crazy lift. Now in terms of technique, like I said, very good technique. So keeping the elbows nice open, even if you have a close grip. For the death grip, he's almost there, so he's not quite closing the bar with his thumb. Like I said, I think it's a mistake, but here he has safeties and stuff like that. But in general, again, I wouldn't recommend you do that. And if you have a good bar positioning in your hand, you don't need that death grip in order to push a lot of weight. And he had a very good bar path. As we can see, at the moment he started starts to push, he goes backwards with the elbow opening at the same time. Very, very strong positioning. So yeah, I think in terms of technique, I would probably give 4.5 to Chris here. Very good technique. And then I would probably give 4.5 also for strength, but because it's in a competition setup, I'm giving the 0.5 bonus point. So that's actually 5. And Chris is at 9.5 in terms of score. And that's our first and only S-tier fitness YouTuber right now. So yeah, very, very good technique from Chris here. And I think, was that a world record in his federation? Maybe. Yeah, very strong, very strong. And good technique. So crazy to see that two twins are elite on the bench press. So genetics do matter, but it's not just genetics, obviously. But that's a topic I really want to talk about in the future, talking about genetics. But yeah, anyway, there you have it, guys. That was the tier list of the fitness YouTubers. If you want another episode of that on the bench press, let me know in the comments. And also, if you want to give me names for me to analyze and rank, do that for sure, also by leaving all of that in the comment section. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Now, time to go bench press myself.